That's all I can do, so. Okay, let's see, I think we're on. Is the light on? Yes, okay. So let's get comfortable. Sit however feels good for you. You know you're welcome to sit on blankets, more than one if it feels better for you to do that. Let yourself close your eyes, lengthen up through the top of your head. And just be easy as you start to accept your breaths in and out through your nose. Just letting the breath come in and go out, imagining you're breathing equally in and out through both sides of your nose. To make those easy circles with your breath so that your torso stays nice and long. And you come into exhaling your way forward and inhaling your way when you come back with those circles. Circling in the same direction, feeling those shifts of weight. So when the weight shifts forward and to the side and then back and to the other side, you can feel your sitting bones. Just let the breath easily move you. And we're going to reverse direction. So when you feel ready to stop and go the other way, just let yourself go ahead and unwind in the other direction. And the next time you end up forward, go ahead and let yourself stay there. Depends on you, whether you're cross-legged or long-legged, it doesn't matter. Ease your way as far forward as you want to go. You know, take your time, use your hands to support you. Just feel that nice sense of coming into the low back, into the hips. You can shift yourself a little bit, just swaying side to side too, if that feels good. And once you come back into center, just be with your breath. And then we'll walk ourselves all the way back up. So let your hands help you if you need, coming all the way back up, and then release your hands on out beside you onto the floor. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And exhale, bring our hands right down together in front of our chest. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale our arms straight on out from our shoulders here. Make loose fists with your hands and just start to circle the fists around a little bit. Keep going in the same direction. Just waking up here through the wrists, the arms, and then stop in reverse direction with your circles. Just enjoy feeling that sense of moving through the wrists, but also engaging up into the arms and the shoulders. And then reverse again, but this time open your hands. And even kind of wiggle your fingers around a little bit if you want, as you start to circle through the wrists and feel your fingers moving around. And then stop and reverse again. So you go the other way. And again, you can spread your hands out. You can kind of wiggle those fingers around. And then finish off and let your palms face down. Reach out through your fingertips, really feeling now that sense of reaching as far away from the midline as you can. And now as you exhale, twist to your right and let your twist come from your back, right? So you're just letting your arms go along for the ride. Go only as far as you can. And then let your arms release on down in the twist. So wherever the hands come to, when the hands come down, let them be. Let yourself just enjoy coming into that twist, feeling the back actually doing the twisting. And then float the arms on back up, out from your shoulders, and we're going to come on back into center. And then as you exhale and you go to the other side, again, it's really letting your back bring you around into that twist. And draw that right sitting bone down towards the ground. When you go as far as you want, then again, just let the hands come on down. Not important where they are. Just let yourself enjoy having that twist in the back. Good. And then float the arms on back up and out from your shoulders and let yourself come on back around into center again. And now bring your hands behind you on the floor. Whether you stay on fingertips or you go flat onto your hands, draw your chest forward, open up here through the front body. You can look wherever feels good for your head, right? For your neck. Whether you want to look up or look forward. Just let it feel really good to open across your chest here. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up. Bring the arms out again. And now bring your right arm on top of your left. Give yourself a nice hug. And tilt your head to the right ear towards your right shoulder. And then come on back up to the top and tilt the other way. Just letting yourself release there. You might feel it between your shoulder blades on the back too. And then come on back up. And if you want to head towards an eagle or half eagle wrap, you can, or you can stay hugging. Just whatever feels really good in your shoulders. Open up there. One more breath. And then unwind to bring your arms straight on back out from your shoulders. And we're going to go into the left arm on top of the right. So again, give that hug. You can stay there. Let the head tilt again to one side. Doesn't matter which one first. And then going to the other when you're ready. So you can release there through the sides of the neck. And then when you come back up, you may want to stay right here. You may want to head towards half eagle or eagle wrap. That is up to you. Letting the shoulders wake up however feels best for you. And then we'll release and bring our arms on down. We're going to switch the cross of the legs if we're cross-legged. So if you need to stretch your legs out first, do. And if you weren't cross-legged, it's fine. Just leave your legs long. And then we're going to come back again one more time to those circles. So letting yourself feel the torso circling. Letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. So letting those circles be really easy, as big or as small as you want. We'll reverse directions, so when you're ready, stopping and going the other way. And then again, the next time you end up forward, let yourself stay there. You can use your hands to help you. You can walk as far forward as you want. If it feels good, once you come forward with that long back, to go ahead and round a little bit in the upper body, by all means, go ahead. Let it feel really easy. Let your head hang if you can. Let yourself release through your neck and your face and your jaw. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly walk ourselves on back up again. Fingertips out onto the floor beside us. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, lower our left arm down. Come on over into side stretch there. Breathing into the right side. And let your right hand kind of turn different directions, right? So you might want your palm to face forward. You might want to turn it up towards the ceiling and push up into the heel of your hand, or you might want to turn it down towards the ground. Just feel pretty good there. Find as much space as you can between your ribs. And then we'll rise on back up, and we're just going to go over to the other side. So again, once you come over into that side stretch, you can move that left hand around. You know, you can kind of change It's pretty interesting how a little bit of change of how your palm faces makes a difference in that side stretch. So again, just imagine reaching as far as you can with that hand so that you can find more space between your ribs. One more breath. And then we're going to rise on back up again. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. You can look up at your hands if it feels okay for your neck. And as you exhale, let your hands come right down to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And let's unfold our arms and stretch our legs out and let the feet be apart. It doesn't have to be a wide angle, just enough so that when you're here and you feel your heels on the floor and you come forward a little bit, you can start to get into the backs of the legs and the insides of your legs and the outside of your legs, really. So just take your time, wake the legs up a little bit here. It doesn't matter how far you go. You can have your hands on the floor if you'd rather, or put your hands on your legs or on your toes if you want. Just let yourself enjoy. Feeling a little more here, into the legs, into the hips. Good. So one more breath. And then as we slowly rise on back up, we're going to bring our legs on towards in front of us, kind of shake them out a little bit, and we're heading around towards our hands and knees now. So, you know, if you don't want to be on your knees on the floor, put a blanket under it. If you need a little support, use it. Take your time, get your hands underneath you, your knees underneath your hips, and see if you can for a second. Just let your hips shift a little bit side to side, like you're just wagging your hips side to side. And let your head respond however you want. If you can let your head hang, do. If that doesn't feel good, you can kind of look down towards the ground there with your hands. But just let it feel real easy. Good, and then come on back into center. You know, if you need to be on fists, do. And start to move through your cat-cows. And if you can, see if you can stay in cat or cow for a breath or two, just a time or two, just so you give your body time to adjust to the pose instead of continuously flowing through the pose. And after you've done that a time or two, if you feel better to just keep on moving, then just keep on moving. Good. You finish the one you're on or that you're moving into now. We'll come back to more neutral spine. And let's come down onto our left forearm, about parallel to the front edge of the mat. Reach your right arm forward and bring your forehead on down to your forearm. Let your hips shift back a little bit if you can. Really spread your fingers wide. Feel the hands on the mat. And then just enjoy pressing into the right hand a little bit more, letting that elbow head inward a little bit. Feel your shoulder. Let yourself come into this quarter dog, releasing your chest downward towards the ground. One more breath. And then bring your right hand back so you can help press your way up. And we're going to go to the other side. So right forearm about parallel to the front edge of the mat. Left arm reaches up overhead there, and then head on down and let your head relax down. Spread your fingers. Really press into that left hand and feel the elbow hugging inward towards the midline of the mat a little bit. Hips shift back as much as you feel good to do there. Let your heart melt down. Good. One more breath. And then bring that left hand on back, and we're going to come on back up to all fours. And we're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back for our first lunge. So you know if you like your blocks, go right ahead and get your blocks any height you want under your hands. Come come on up into that first lunge. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears and just enjoy now coming into reaching into that inner right heel. One more breath. And we're going to switch legs. So however you need to come to the other side. Switching legs here now. Pressing the feet gently away from each other, engaging the belly. Good. And we're going to switch legs again. And this time, once you get into the lunge, get really comfortable in the way you have the length of your lunge there and how you are, and bring your left hand on up to your left hip and draw your shoulder on up, coming on into that twist. You can stretch your arm up if you want to. That's up to you. You can keep your hand down on your low back there. Try not to drop too much into that right hip, staying fairly level there. And then we'll come on back down with the left hand, and we're going to switch to the other side again. So as you get into the length of lunge that feels good, you feel very comfortable rising the right hand on up, rolling that shoulder up. And again, you can keep your hand right there on your low back. If you feel good to stretch it up, you can. Reaching up with that arm. Good, and then we'll come on back down with the hand. And let's step forward. Come into standing forward bend, and you know, totally up to you whether you use blocks under your hands. Maybe you feel better to keep your back longer and let yourself have some support like that, or elbows above your knees is another good one. If you're fine to fold forward, just be really mindful. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Let yourself enjoy allowing the backs of the legs just to naturally open up here from being forward with your torso. Feel the breaths coming in and going out. Let your face soften. And one more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, press into our feet as we rise up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose. So, if you need to look at your feet, if you need to adjust anything, do. So you're really comfortable in the distance apart that your feet are. Letting your gaze come on forward and out, bringing your hands gently to meet there in front of your chest. Spread your fingers out a little bit. Feel your thumbs just wanting to come in towards the breastbone. There's no certain place for them to come to. Just where you feel really easy to be in your shoulders. Feeling very balanced between your right and your left side and between the front and the back of your body. See it once now that you're established with your gaze, looking forward and your pelvis is aligned. Lift your toes up for a second. Try not to look. Let your toes lift up. Feel the base of the big toe mound, base of the little toe mound, inner and outer heel into the floor. Arches lifting up. And then let your toes release on back down to the mat. And we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees, come on forward from our hips into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long flat back, whether your hands are on the blocks or your legs or even on the floor in front of your toes. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers nice and wide now. Awareness in your hands. So really feeling equal. If you need to check your hands out to make sure you don't have one hand like turned out more than the other. Think of your pointer fingers being about parallel to each other. And then hug your elbows in. Start to press back out of your hands and feel that engagement all the way up the arms into your shoulders now. armpits kind of hollow out. And then keep following the line, the long line that starts, you know, with your pinky fingers up the outsides of your arms and the sides of your body all the way out and back through your sitting bones. So you're equally long through both sides of the body. And then from here, we'll come on out to plank. Engage the belly. You remember, you don't want to drop your belly down, but you want to let yourself feel that zip up at the belly and your sitting bones reaching for your heels. And now, even if you don't normally, put your knees down, lift your feet up, kind of pull yourself towards the front of your mat, and start to bend your elbows in towards your ribs. Maybe stop when you're about halfway, and then continue all the way on down to the floor. Stretch the legs back long. Let's come on into Sphinx Pose, onto our forearms here now. Bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders. Bring your gaze there between your hands. And then just turn your head to look to the right a little more. And then just come back to look between your hands. And then just turn your head a little more to the left. And then let yourself look back between your hands. Now just for a second, look up a little bit so the chin rises and you feel what that does to the back of your neck, right? So bring your gaze back down so you're looking a little forward and between your hands. And it feels really good in your neck, right? Feels like you've got your head like almost as a part of your spine. And we're going to lower back down now. Bring our hands back by our chest. Bend your knees again, okay? Flex your feet. And see if you can press back up to that half push-up. So you press back up and you come right back to where you were. Pull your body a little forward towards the front of your mat. Feel your belly engaging. And then put your feet down, lift your knees up, find that full plank here now. And we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. Walk your dog a little bit, bend a knee at a time. Let yourself really release there. Maybe even turn your head if that feels good side to side. And then we'll come back to full dog. We're going to bring our right foot forward and come into lunge. And you can get there however you want. And then we'll come back into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. If you like to hold your elbows, go for it. If you know you need to use your elbows above your knees, do it. And then follow your breath. All the way in, all the way out. And as we now release our hands back up to our hips and bend our knees, press into our feet, we'll rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Now lift your elbows up a little bit and really feel your hands come a little more firmly together there. Just enjoy. Feel the thumbs still coming in towards your breastbone a little bit. And then release the elbows down. Now when you inhale, let the hands come up and let the forearms come towards each other so they meet. And then as you exhale, bring the hands back down in front of your chest and lift your elbows up again, right? So as you inhale, hands rise up, forearms come towards each other. And as you exhale, hands come back down, elbows separate and lift up a little bit. And then one more time, inhaling, rising up through the midline, letting the forearms meet, and exhale, letting them come back down, let the elbows reach out. One more breath here, really feel the hands together. And then separate the hands and let just the tips of your middle fingers touch, like you have your hands on a shelf, right in front of your chest, really. And now start to send the backs of the hands towards each other. Now don't push hard, right? You're not pushing at all, actually, but you are connected. And you can feel your wrist there a little bit more. One more inhale. And now as you exhale, let your fingers start to come down. Come forward with a nice long flat back. And let your hands keep on coming down until you can put them on your shins. And you have a nice flat back here. So you've got your hands wrapped around your shins there. Let yourself lengthen out through your spine. One more breath, and we'll step the left foot back from here and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into that downward facing dog pose again. So if you need to walk, do. If you need to bend both your knees, do. Just do what feels really good here for your dog. Wiggle around however you want. Let it feel like you're just adjusting back into your dog again. Good. And then come on back to your full dog. Next inhale will bring us on out to that plank. Again, nice and strong. Now see, if you can stay in the plank, bend your elbows a little bit again. Let yourself come down just a tiny little bit. Really, really feeling the biceps there. And then come back to plank so your arms are straight again. And we're going to lower down. You're welcome to do a half plank to do it. Coming on down to the mat, elbows right by the ribs. Now let's come on up into a little cobra. Float your hands up and make little loose fists with your hands. Let them be right in front of your shoulders. So you're actually really using just your back body to get up there. One more breath there. And then bring your hands back down to the floor there by your upper chest. Hug your elbows in. You may want to stay right here, or you may want to press into your hands and come up higher into cobra. That is totally up to you. You go where you can. Let yourself feel comfortable with the back bend you choose to do. And then we'll release and come on back down. And we're going to shift back into pose of a child, bringing the big toes together, knees apart. And you know, if you need to keep your hips up somewhat, do. Don't force anything in your knees. Breathe into your low back. Oh, let it feel so good to let yourself find a relief for your hips and your low back. Good. And then come up enough to thread the needle with your left arm, coming on under. And coming on to the left side of your head, you can decide the right arm can reach long, like you're doing dog, overhead, if that feels good, or you could just let the elbow be soft. You know, whichever feels really good for you to feel a nice release in your shoulders. One more breath. And then bring your right hand by your face, press yourself up. We're going to go the other way. So right arm comes under. Again, you can decide, does it feel good to stretch your left arm out, or does it feel better to just let it be soft? And just let that release happen. We'll bring the left hand back by our face. We're going to come on back into center and just relax for another couple of breaths in your child's pose. And then we'll come on forward to all fours so that we can come back into down dog, reaching back into the hips and coming into that downward facing dog pose. Go ahead and adjust however you need. Then we'll bring our left foot forward to find lunge here. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. So again, just checking your feet out if you need to, making sure you're fairly even and your feet are fairly parallel. You don't want one foot way turned out, right? You want to have this sense of being really balanced and a little more even between your feet. Then you can always wrap your hands, your fingers under your toes if you want. I know some of you might even want to slip your whole hand under your feet so that the palms face up and your toes end up on the heels of your hands, right? Or you could not do that, right? Be just really mindful of how it feels in your forward bend. Full, deep, even breaths. One more nice, easy breath here. And we will then bring our hands up to our hips, bend our knees, rising on up to standing, and inhale our arms out and up overhead. Let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let your mountain pose even you out here. We're going to move through two sun salutations with our breath. So let yourself just flow through. Let it feel really easy. Unfolding your arms on down beside you and inhaling the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bending the knees and coming forward. Inhale into that nice long back. And exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale carry you to your plank. Your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. And exhale back into your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top of your breath. And letting your exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Inhale your way out to plank. And let your exhale lower you down. Inhaling into that cobra of choice. And exhaling back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top of the breath. And letting your exhale bring you forward again. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come into down dog. Take your time. You can jump, you can walk. Ease your way there. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Move however you need. Good, and then just find your dog. See if you can feel yourself bringing your breath into your back ribs. And we're going to bring our left foot forward from here. We're coming out for warrior two. You might want your blocks handy. So let yourself line up your heels there. Bending into that front knee. Take your time. Let your arms just hang for a second where they're really easy. You're really focusing on your legs. And then bring your arms out. Let's bring our right arm under our left and give ourselves a hug. Even come into that eagle wrap if you choose. So whatever feels good for your shoulders, you can come into the wrap. You can stay hugging. Feel the feet in the floor. Let yourself really release there up into the shoulders. Good. And then unwind your arms and come on into your warrior two arms, reaching out through the fingertips. Feeling that sense of pressing the feet gently away from each other. Good. From here, we're going to straighten our left knee out. We're going to come into the triangle, bringing that left hand down to whatever support you like to use. So whether you like to use a block or your leg or even down to the floor, let that right arm, if you can, reach straight up from your shoulder. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. You know, if your shoulder bothers you, you can put your hand down. Beautiful. Feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips. One more breath here. And now add to the side stretch by lowering your right arm down towards your head, turning the palm down towards the floor, reaching out through the fingertips there, really getting into the side body. Good, and then bring the arm back up again, straight up from your shoulder, bend that left knee. We're going to come back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now we'll bring our feet more parallel for a wide-legged forward bend. So grab your blocks if you need them as you make your way on forward. And take your time, you know, adjust your stance if you need. Bend a knee at a time if you want. Good, and then come on back to center. Let both your knees bend. Whether you have your hands on blocks or the floor, or maybe you want to put your elbows above your knees, that's fine too. Let yourself press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. Feel your inner thighs melt their way behind you. Good. And then from here, walk your hands over towards the right. Whether you want to use your blocks or walk your hands over on the floor or even hold on to the outside of your right foot or your right ankle there. And just enjoy a breath there. And then walk back through center and come on over to the other side. So again, only as far as you want. You can be in front of the foot. You don't have to go all the way over and hold on to the outside. And then come on back into center. And from here, let yourself release to where you're comfortable, right? So if the traditional pose of bringing your hands between your feet letting yourself release forward feels fine. See if you can go for that. And if it doesn't feel good to your back, use support. Use blocks for your head, for your forearms, or if you need to support your back with your elbows above your knees, do it. And then just watch your breath. See if you can let your inhales and exhales become pretty close to the same length, or even a little bit longer on your exhales if you're comfortable to do that. And then we're going to walk our hands back out because we're going to walk back to that left foot, come on back into our lunge, and make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're there, walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Let yourself really press into the tops of the toes so you're stretching out the tops of the feet that way. And then come on back to your dog, okay? And we're going to come forward to plank, but you're going to let the same thing happen. Come to the top of one of your feet and press into the toenails there. So the knee's not quite on the floor. Really feel your belly engaging. And then come on back to your dog. Unroll that foot back. We're going to do the other foot. So come forward, that knee bends. You come to the top of that one foot, and you're pressing into the top of the toes. And then we'll come back into dog again. And now let's come on out to plank. Move through to a back bend however you choose. You can come to the floor and do a Sphinx or a Cobra, or you can come through for an up dog or come up to an up dog. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. And if you want to do a couple more of those, go for it. If you need to put your knees down and rest, do. Or if there's something else your body is craving, by all means do it. Just be mindful of how you feel today. Good. And then we'll finish off and we'll meet back in down dog. From here we'll bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two on this other side. So again, getting into your legs first. You know, getting that line of the heels. Getting that bend of the front knee and making sure that length of stance feels good to you. And then once you check the alignment of your knee and you feel pretty good, rise the arms up, bring your left arm under your right. You can give a hug and stay right there. Or maybe you decide you'd like to come into an eagle wrap. Whatever feels like the most releasing for your shoulders. Think about your outer right hip dropping down, maybe even drawing back a little bit. Feel your feet in the floor. And now bring your breath into between the shoulder blades on your back. And as we undo the arms, we're going to bring them into warrior two arms, letting them stretch, reach right out so that you get this sense of being as equal as you can between your arms. You're reaching equally out through both sets of fingertips. And we're going to straighten the right leg out and bring the right hand down for triangle. So again, whatever you want to use for your hand. If you like to use a block, if you like to use your leg. Find that sense of extending your torso out over that front leg. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Left hand can be up, but if you need to put the hand down for your shoulder, do it. Really feel that engagement of your legs. Press the feet away from each other. And now let the top arm, left arm, come down more towards your head. Let the palm face down towards the floor. A little more side stretch going on there. One more breath. And then bring the arm back up into your triangle arm there. If any of you want to turn to look up, you're more than welcome to. And then from here, we'll bend that front knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing the feet away from each other as we come. And let's let our hands come down, turn our feet more parallel, and we'll make our way forward now into this wide-legged forward bend. This time, once you get your hands down to whatever surface you're going to use, turn your toes out a little bit, And bend both your knees like you're in goddess, right? But your hands are supported on blocks of the floor. Just let your hips release there. Now from there, see if you can lift your right heel up. And then lower your right heel down and see if you can lift your left heel up. And then lower that heel down. And now see if you can lift both heels off the floor. Right here you've got support of your hands, but gets a little deeper into the hips. And then let the heels come on back down. And now go ahead and bend a knee at a time. I know a lot of you like to do the lifting the foot up when you do that. And a lot of you like to lower your hips down more. So if you like to use your hands to support you and let your hips shift down towards the ground as you come into really finding a little more there for your hamstring, for your hips. That's up to you. Don't do it if it doesn't feel good. And then when you're ready to come back into center, adjust back to getting your feet more parallel, or maybe even, I know a lot of you might even be a little pigeon-toedy, right? Because that's what feels best in this pose to you. And then again, find a way to be in the pose where really you can bring your awareness to your breath without feeling discomfort anywhere. So that's different for everybody, right? See if you can let yourself follow your breaths all the way in and out. Feeling the ribs expanding as you inhale. And if you can, at the end of your exhales, when you think you've let all the air out, see if you can just draw your low belly in, as low as you can find, just a little more. It's almost like you just get a little more air out that way. From here, we are going to let ourselves come on back out so we can walk back to our right foot. Coming on back into lunge, and from your lunge back into your downward facing dog pose. And again, walk a little bit in your dog if you need to. Let yourself release there. And then when you're ready, you can move through for a vinyasa or kriya or not, right? You can stay in dog. You can put your knees down if you'd rather. Let yourself come into child's pose. Follow what your body needs today. If you're doing something two-sided, just make sure you get evened out. Do both. And we will meet back in down dog. Once you're in dog, maybe you want to bring your feet a little closer together because we're going to lift the left leg up in the air into three-legged dog. So press equally back out of your hands. Feel your pinky toe facing downward on that foot. Let the right heel descend a little more towards the mat so you get more into the back of your leg. And then we're going to bring that foot forward to lunge. Bring yourself into your lunge. And you may want your blocks here, because from here we're going to shift into a pyramid pose, lowering that right heel down. So how long of a stance you take from your lunge into your pyramid is up to you. Back heel is fully on the floor. Start to feel that length of your spine now. Doesn't matter how high you want to be. Like, you know, whether you want to use the highest height of your blocks or you want to be down on the floor with your hands. But feel a long spine. Now start to feel that sense of drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other. Your belly engages, but let your tailbone reach back as you feel that engagement of the belly. And as you're lengthened out through the spine here now, we're going to go ahead and keep our right hand down, bring our left hand to our hip, and come on into Revolve Triangle here, rolling that shoulder up. You're welcome to keep your hand right down on your sacrum, or if you like to stretch the arm up, you can. Totally up to you. Let yourself just enjoy. Find that twist. in the middle of your back, but feel how your legs have to work quite hard here, but in a good way. One more breath. And then let yourself release. If you like to fold forward over your leg, feel free. You can let yourself bow over that leg if it feels good, and release here, letting the head hang even if that's okay, but don't do it if it's too much. Keep the thighs lifting upward. Feel that back foot on the floor. Good. And now come on back to bring your hands onto your blocks, because from here, we're going to shift forward and come on up with that right foot into a little warrior three. Turn the toes down towards the ground. And then, once you kind of get established there, bend your right knee. Keep it where it was. Don't drop your knee down. Let it stay where it was in your warrior three. And then, with the foot up like it's putting a footprint on the ceiling, lift the knee up a little higher, and then let it come down. So just a couple of times. Lift, and then let it come down again, and then lift, and you're going to really feel that in your buttocks, and let it come down again. And now stretch the leg back long into warrior three. See if you can bring your left hand off the block. Maybe put it on your thigh. Totally up to you. Maybe on your shin. Sometimes that really lengthens the spine out to put it down below your knee. Let yourself just keep your gaze down for a second. Now if you want to do this, put your left hand up on your left hip and turn to look to the left. That's totally optional. You can even come into that twist there. Hand down on the sacrum. One more breath. And then come on back down with that left hand. Look down in your warrior three there. We're going to reach back into lunge. You might want to bring your blocks with you as you come into lunge. We're going to lower the back knee down to the floor. And we're going to shift our hips back and come into lengthening out over that front leg. So finding a big release there in the hamstring after all that. Stand your torso out over that front leg. Good. And then we're going to come forward into lunge again. Leave the back knee down for a second just to feel that nice release in the front of the hip. And then go ahead and lift your knee up. Come on into lunge. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in down dog, feet a little closer together. Lift your left leg up in the air. Bend the knee and open the hip. Let yourself stack your left hip on top of your right. Let that right heel descend towards the mat. And then come on back down with that foot. We're going to switch legs. Right leg comes up, knee bends, and then again, it just stacks. You can look under your right arm if you want to. You don't have to. Let it feel good. And then bring that foot on back down. You're on your own. You want to do vinyasas or kriyas. If you prefer to put your knees down, go for it. Let yourself just enjoy letting your body take over for a couple more breaths. Good. So finish off to meet back in down dog. And from here, we're going to come into three-legged dog. Right leg's going to come up in the air. Toes are going to face down. Left heel's going to descend towards the mat. Press equally back out of your hands. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Now, zip up your belly. That helps, doesn't it? It takes a lot out of the arms and shoulders, or we can pretend it does. We're going to bring our foot forward and come on into lunge. So let yourself find your lunge here. And when we come into pyramid, remember, as you straighten that front leg out and start to adjust the length of your stance, you got to feel the whole foot on the floor back there. Think of maybe even lifting all your toes up to find those four corners. Think of your arches lifting up. And you can release the toes down. Keep that length to the spine now. We're going to work on really a long spine. Doesn't matter how high your torso is, but find that long spine. And then that drawing of the hip pointer bones towards each other. See what your belly does to do that. Now when you feel your belly do that, then see if you can send your tailbone back, but keep your belly working. So when you do that, it kind of like extends into lengthening your abdominal muscles instead of bunching them up. Do you feel what I mean? No.
Not so much.
We're gonna bring our right hand to our right hip and roll that shoulder up, coming into Revolve Triangle. Again, you can keep your hand down, or you can stretch that right arm up if you choose. That depends on your shoulder. It's an intense, actually, for a lot of people's shoulders to do that. Good. One more breath. And then go ahead and bring your hand back down. You can fold over that front leg. If that feels like the biggest relief ever, go for it. Nice. Good morning, legs. We're going to come on back up enough. So when we slightly bend that front knee and shift forward for our warrior three, we can bring the leg on up off the ground and let yourself place the toes down. You might even want to look back at your foot and make sure that foot's right back there, directly back from your hip. Toes are facing down. And then just bend the knee without dropping the knee down. And that's kind of big in itself, right? Now to lift that knee up a couple inches and then let it come down a couple inches 2 or 3 times is intense. So it's not a big movement, but it's just letting the knee come a little higher and then back down. Finish off, because that's intense. Go back to your warrior three with the leg long. See if you can put your right hand, maybe again, on your shin. Right? Totally up to you, or your thigh. Of course, if you want to reach your arm forward, that's fine. Do what feels really good. Find your warrior three a little bit there. And then see if you can put your right hand up on your low back or your hip and turn your head to look to the right. Coming into that twist. When you've had entirely enough of that, put your hand back down, right? Yeah, we're going to come into lunge again. So reach your way back into lunge. Once you get there, it'll feel so good to put that back knee down and then to shift your hips back and come forward over that long front leg. Hopefully it feels like a huge relief. One more breath. And then as you shift forward, keep the back knee down just for a second, just to feel that nice openness in the front of the left hip. And then when you're ready to curl the toes under and lift your knee up, do. And we'll make our way back again. Downward facing dog pose. Final vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do any. If you don't, do what feels good. Put your knees down if you want. Be in your child's pose. Stay in your dog if you want. Good. So finish off so we can meet back in down dog. And then we're going to walk our hands back towards our feet for a little squat of choice, right? So you can separate your feet as much as you want. I mean, if you feel better to grab a blanket and think about doing a little bit of a squat with your heels on a blanket, which is what sounds good to me, so that I can keep my feet more parallel, which is very different than turning my toes out where I can put my heels down. So just play a little bit. You know, some of you don't need any kind of anything under your heels because you can squat with your feet parallel easily. But just enjoy. And if you know a huge squat's not good for you, don't do it. You just stay with your elbows above your knees. Let yourself find a way to release your low back and your hips. And I know some of you really love to play with crow pose. If you like to, you can do that here. You can let yourself come forward and play a little bit with, you know, coming into that arm balance. Or not, right? From here, slowly make our way up because we're gonna come on into standing forward bend. So, you know, be mindful, be easy, let yourself come on into feet hips distance apart and parallel. Whether you want to hold your elbows or you need to use support, do it. Watch your breath for 2 or 3 more nice, full, complete, deep breaths in and out. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, press into our feet, come on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down, let the top of the head float up higher. Almost feel like you're levitating, right? You feel so lightheaded. It's almost like you're off the floor a little bit. Enjoy feeling the energy flowing through your body. And then as you unfold your arms on down beside you, shake out just a little bit and move around. Good. And let's bring our mats into a wall, short edge into a wall. And we're going to stay. So we have plenty of room today. You know, if you need to spread out somewhere else, do it. If you feel like you want to be in a little bit different place in the room, there's lots of room. So I don't like the people over here on my side. I'm moving. Randy doesn't want to be alone. So once you get your mat turned, come on down. Go ahead and shift back towards pose of a child. And you can stay up on your forearms, it's fine. Just let your hips and your back release a little bit more there. Good. Because we're going to come forward. Keep your feet to the wall. Come on forward onto your forearms. See if you can get back enough to where when you lift up to a forearm plank, your heels will be on the wall, okay? So in other words, when you lift up like this, you can feel your heels at the wall. You can press your heels into the wall. So you got to adjust like where your forearms are and everything. If you can press your heels into the wall, imagine you're pulling your heels away from each other and think about your inner thighs reaching up towards the ceiling. And that's a really fun way to practice a forearm plank. Now we're going to come down from there and roll onto our right side, but we're going to be up on our forearm because we're going to do a little bit of side forearm plank, right? So you can stay right with your hips down. You don't have to lift up. If you press into your forearm, draw your shoulder away from your ear, and stretch your top leg into the wall, that might be enough right there. You just press into your forearm and you press into the foot on the wall. Now, if you want to do a full one, you can. You can lift your hips up, you can let your feet be at the wall, and you can even lift the top foot up there. If you're in that full side forearm plank, lift the top foot up a little bit to the wall. Don't overdo, it's really intense. And when you're ready, come down and go to the other side. So make sure, you know, that elbow is right under your shoulder. The hand, the loose fist comes a little bit up towards the front corner of your mat there. And again, you may just want to reach the top leg out. You don't have to do any more than that. If you push into that foot or that ball of the foot on the wall and you engage your belly and you push into your forearm, that right there is a lot of work. And if you like the full one, lift the hips up. You can come into your full side forearm plank there. You can put your foot up a little higher up the wall if you want. You can stretch your arm up too if you want. You know that. If you're like, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with any of that, don't do it. Good. Good. And then come on down. We're going to shift back. We're going to stay on our forearms though. And we're going to think about coming on up into dolphin now with our heels up the wall. So, you know, don't do this with too much on your shoulders. If anybody would rather be on your hands and work more towards handstand sort of prep things, do that. And don't overstay, you're welcome. If you like to lift a leg up, go for it. If you don't, don't. slowly bring the knee on back into center. And we are going to switch legs. So bringing that left knee in, extending your right leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Switch to hold behind your thigh if you haven't already. And then send the foot up like you're putting that footprint on the ceiling. And slide the thigh a little more towards the outer ribs and kind of pull down on your thigh. So you're kind of pulling it towards the ground. Then maybe you can get your hands up to your foot, or maybe you can't. It doesn't matter if you can or not. Just doing the thigh work is good, right? Keep flexing through the foot. And if you can encourage that knee even more down towards the ground, focus on how it feels in the front of that right hip. Good. So one more breath. And now release the foot. Bring your right hand over to the outside of that left knee. Stretch your left arm out on the floor. Bring the leg over to the right. And you can look to the left if you want in this twist. And again, you don't have to go hardly anyways. I mean, you can just let yourself keep the leg kind of hanging in space if you want. You can keep going, let the foot come to the floor, or even reach the foot towards your right hand if you want to. Oh, just enjoy. Let it feel like a huge relief of a twist there. Good. One more breath. And now take your time as you come on back into center with that leg. Bring your legs on in. You can do happy baby if you want. You can stretch your legs up in the air. You can do Baddha Konasana if you'd rather. In other words, let your body take over. Do what you naturally know you need to do for relief. And if you don't know, then let your body tell you, because it will. So take your time. You know, if you need to do anything else at all, do it. If you need to do another twist, if you need to do a cloud pose, if there's something that sounds really good to you to do, it could be anything, a bridge pose, pointed bridge pose, anything. And it's kind of chilling on the floor, so if you start to settle in and the idea of a blanket sounds really good, let me know.
Bolster, please.
Okay, got it. Or a bolster you want, or anything else that sounds good. Remember, you don't want to lie there and get cold, you know.
This is one of the craziest things. Cat cold.
So if even if just your feet are cold, you know, and cover your feet up. If you start to feel the kind of cold coming up from the floor, wave at me right now so I can bring you anything. And get comfortable. You can wriggle your way into Shavasana, do. You need to let yourself move your arms, your legs a little bit to a different place. By all means, do. And then just enjoy accepting your breaths in and out. You know, whatever helps you, keep refocusing back to your breath. Whether it's counting or a mantra or just thinking a word when you inhale, a different word when you exhale. Just take your time. yourself enjoy feeling how the body responds to the breath getting quieter. And so does your brain. Your mind finds those little quiet places as well. So give yourself the gift of these few minutes and let your body get what it needs from all you just did, and just allow yourself to completely and fully relax.